Okay. All right, Gideon, we are now live on Facebook. So I want you to briefly introduce yourself. Tell us your name, you know, the organization you work for, and what you guys do.
Yeah, Monica, thank you. My name is Gideon Nzioki. I'm a senior auditor compliance at the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. This is a state corporation under the National Treasury Kenya. I think it's good I give a genesis of this institution. Back in 1999, the National Treasury commissioned a survey whereby they wanted to know the amount of unclaimed assets which were held by institutions. And that survey, the results were that around 240 billion was in our economy, sitting in different institutions. So with that is when they decided to come up with a law to create a state institution whereby these monies will be brought together and also reunited with the owners. So what happened in 2011, they passed a law which is called Unclaimed Financial Act 2011, which now created the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. So our operations started in the year 2014. We have around 5 years of operation. So far, we have collected about 16.7 billion Kenya shillings and 800 million units of shares, which translates to about 33 billion Kenya shillings. So in a nutshell, the total amount, the value of unclaimed assets which we are holding is about 49 billion. 49 billion.
So, okay, so I have to tell you, once I posted your flyer, you know, letting people know that this is what we are going to be talking about, there are people out there that are a little bit skeptical, you know, to hear that there is 49 billion, you know, to be claimed. Unfortunately, and I am sorry to say it this way, but the government of Kenya is the most corrupt government we have. So, in every sector, actually. So knowing that the government of Kenya is so corrupt, there's money somewhere and they haven't taken that money, and they're telling Kenyans that, hey, that there's money, there's funds, there's shares, you know, come and get your, you know, claim your money. How is that possible? Before we can even go to other questions.
Okay, thank you, Monica. One thing I would say is that the same law which created the authority, it has also allowed the authority to invest these monies in treasury bills. So like the 16.7 billion which we have already received in cash, we don't have that money in a specific account. It is already in the economy. It is already building roads, buying medical equipment. So we have how that money back to the economy. We only have little monies whereby we reunite with the people who come on board. But at this point, I say the reunification levels are a bit low because the awareness levels are also low. So we are trying our best to come out and tell people to come and claim. Number two, the law which has created this institution has kind of reinforced the fund. And I can say the fund is well protected by the law. And so far, for the last 5 years, we can account for every coin. Monica, thank you.
Okay. All right. So what you're saying, in other words, is that your organization works in the best interest of the public, correct?
Exactly. And we can account for every amount which we have received from institutions.
Okay. So where do all these funds come from, and why are they unclaimed?
One, these monies come from what we call in law the holders. Holders are the institutions which are holding these monies whereby they are not able to trace the owners. The reasons why money become unclaimed, one of them is death. Whereby a person died, there was no will. So these relatives do not know if there are any unclaimed assets anywhere. Number two is some people travel outside the country and they have invested locally. So after some time, because these unclaimed assets, you'll find that in our law from section 4 to section 17, every asset has its own tenure or period of whereby it can qualify to be unclaimed. I'll give you an example of wages and salaries. If there's a wage or salary somewhere and it has stayed 2 years, the owner has not serviced and there is no communication, such money is remitted to the authority. Dividends, about 3 years, whereby a person has not collected those dividends and he is not in touch with that organization. These institutions, in short, they are all the institutions, the government institutions, listed companies, public universities, so it covers, this law is prospecting across the economy. Monica?
Okay, so what about bank accounts that have been foreclosed, or the bank accounts that were closed because they were not used for so long? What about that money? Does it just go away?
No, thank you, Monica. Good question. In fact, most of the unclaimed assets, you find that they are sitting in the banks. Because you find that there are dormant accounts in the banks, there are also shares. So I would say like 60% of the unclaimed assets, the ones outside and the ones we have received, they are from the institutions.
Okay.
Even say boxes.
So how can people find out what how can people find out if they have any unclaimed funds?
Thank you, Monica. Good question. What we have done, once we receive these funds from these institutions, they also give us the underlying names. That is, if they have given us like 10 million, they also give us the names of those institutions. So what we do, we upload those names on our website. So if you are to visit our website, that is www.ufaa.go.ke, you'll be able to go in and also type your name, and you can know from wherever country you are that you have unclaimed assets, or even your relatives have unclaimed assets.
Right.
That is one way of creating awareness.
Okay. All right. So, so if somebody has to go online to find out if they have assets, now I'm trying to think about that Shosho that's in Mashambani. You know, she doesn't know how to use internet. She can't even get access to internet anyway, and she probably doesn't even know that she has property, funds, shares, even bonds that she needs to go and claim. What is your organization doing in the effort to make sure that that Shosho knows that she can come and claim, you know, the assets or funds that she has, and how can she even get access to internet? What are you doing to help?
Thank you, Monica. Good question. But that one, the honors is with the relatives. And in our act, what we have done, we also allow somebody to claim on behalf of the owner.
Okay.
That is what we call the agent claim. So you find that a relative or a son of that old grandmother can also come and claim on behalf of the grandmother. That one we allow. It is not a must that the specific claimant must come on board. The case of also deceased, whereby we deal with the administrator. So we have kind of 6 kinds of claims, whereby you can either use an agent, the administrator can also come on board. So it is open. We have tried our level best, and also to add on that, somebody can also claim online. You have gone online. So if you are in US, you are in Canada, you can still lodge your claim online, and you will be able to process.
Okay,
Thank you, Monica.
So if I start my claim online because I'm in the US, how do I get paid if I don't have, for example, a bank account in Kenya? How am I going to get my claim paid?
Yes, most of the cases where we have received such claims, we normally advise them to advise us on the best way to claim more. You can either open like a USD account, or sometimes we also advise you to use the agent, whereby, because even if you are in those countries, you have a relative around them.
Yeah.
So we can be able to use that agent to remit your funds.
Okay, so by using an agent, you're talking about if I have a relative in Kenya, that's my agent. It's not like a third-party company that I'm going to be using. You're talking about a relative.
I'm talking about a relative. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So if I use a relative to get to go claim the funds for me, now I'm thinking about the Kenyan bureaucracy, because personally we are actually going through that. You know, the Kenyan bureaucracy. You have provided all the documents that have been requested, but you're still being taken round and round and round before you can even get these funds. You know, why is it so difficult, you know, for just to get there? You know, you ask for the documents, you get the documents, but it still makes it, you guys still make it so difficult.
Yes, thank you. Good question. In our law, it provides for about 60 days. Once you present your claim to the authority, we are required to pay you by 60. And after the 60 days, if we do not honor that, you can go to court. So we have tried our level best to pay within the 3 months.
Okay.
That has been anchored in our law. And we have tried our best. We have not gone outside that, and we are paying our claims on time. Maybe in cases whereby the claim is not fully supported, maybe there are some documents which have not been provided. But that is anchored in our law.
Okay. All right. So, because I'm asking this because, for example, I lost my mother in December. This is September. And until now, my dad still has not been able to get access to my mom's bank account. And the bank has requested that he has to produce my ID, every child's ID. What does my ID have to do with my mother's bank account?
Yes. I think, good question, Monica. What we are doing at our place is that we only wait. You know, there's what we call a court process for them to appoint an administrator. Generally, at the authority, what we ask for is the administrator of the estate, and if the administrator has not been appointed, then we send them back to the judiciary for them to have an administrator in place, and when we have an administrator on board, 60 days we pay your claim.
Okay, so then when you talk about an administrator has to be appointed, in Kenya we rarely ever write wills. So we don't appoint somebody to take care of our property while we are gone. We don't even assign our properties to anybody, because unfortunately we don't foresee that we are ever going to die, even though we know so well that all of us are going to die. So we never prepare for death, right? So a lot of people do not have wills. A lot of people do not have, you know, they don't have a plan as to, you know, once they die, what's going to happen. So you are going to come across all these people. So isn't it natural that if a spouse has died, the other spouse that's still alive, that's the administrator?
Yes, but you see, Monica, Kenya, you know, Kenyans are a bit litigious. So what we do, we don't take it automatically. For example, if a wife has passed, the husband is automatically the administrator. What we appreciate is a court process whereby the administrator has been appointed legally, at least for the authority, not to fall into serious litigations. And also we are required by the law to protect this fund. So the procedures are well spelled out. If a person has died, then whoever the administrator must be appointed by the court. It is not an automatic that maybe the son or the daughter will be the administrator, but whoever the court will settle to. That is it. But another issue you have raised is about wills. Wills, you know, not only in Kenya, but in Africa, it's very few families whereby you find their wills. And now that the onus is now on the courts to intervene and appoint an administrator. Then from there, us as an authority, we deal with the administrator who has been appointed legally. Thank you, Monica.
Okay, so then my question to you is, if I have to go through court system and, you know, going back again to that show in Mashambani, she probably does not even have money to go through the court system. Why are we putting people to, you know, to go through a court system, to go through judiciary, to claim what is theirs? Why are we doing that? I mean, if she has an ID, she has a marriage certificate, what else do y'all need? And she has a death certificate that her spouse has died. What else do you need?
Yes, Monica, I appreciate that. Yes, I know what you are talking about. But the challenge is the requirements of the law. In such cases, we are required to deal with an administrator who has been appointed by the court. However, on the flip side, I also understand you are chasing your assets, but you are there in the village and that amount belongs to you. But for us as the authorities, since we do not know, it's only the court where we will be safe if we deal with the administrator who has been appointed by the court. But I hear you. But we have to follow the law, that is the UFA Act 2011, so that at least the fund is protected.
Okay, so then when is the money transferred? For example, if it was money in the bank, when is that money transferred to you? How long does it have to be a dormant account for it to be transferred to unclaimed funds?
I'll give you an example. A current account is 2 years. For example, if it is 2018 January, the holder, that is the bank, is not in contact with the account holder, and there is no communication. 2 years lapse, then that amount is unclaimed. Savings account, it is 5 years, whereby that period where you had saved is about 5 years, and there is no communication. And you have not been touched. Communication, I mean either written through an email, electronic, whatever, or even transacting in that account.
Okay.
So if you have not been transacting, no communication, no email, 5 years for a fixed deposit account, that money qualifies and it is remitted to the authority.
Okay. So now, go ahead.
Sorry?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish your sentence. Go ahead.
Dividends, I said, is about 3 years. Shares is also 3 years. At 3 years, I mean there is no communication and no transaction in between.
Okay.
Which means that the institution is not able to reach that owner, and then that is why it is brought to the authority. I think the spirit of our law generally is reunification, not to bring these monies together. When you look at the spirit of the law, all the it's about reunification, and that was the key reason why this institution was created, to look for owners of these funds, so that at least it is plowed back to the economy.
Okay.
Thank you, Monica.
All right. So I'm thinking about someone that probably has, let's say, 100,000, right? If you have 100,000 and maybe it has to be 2 years before that account can be transferred to you guys, interest in Kenya is so high. The banks in Kenya have the highest interest, and this is not your fault, I'm just saying, but the banks in Kenya have the highest interest, right? So if the interest is so high, within 2 years or within those 3 years or whatever account, that person doesn't have any money.
Yes.
So what happens then? Because if they died, they left 100,000, in 3 years they are going to have 0, correct?
Yes, true, but what happens at the authority, I think I need to get you clearly. What happens once, for example, the 100,000 is remitted to the authority, we don't deduct anything. Even when we are reuniting, we reunite that 100,000, the way it came to us.
Oh.
And that 5 years, even if it was earning interest, we reunite everything plus the interest. But one thing you have to know is that once money is remitted to the authority, it does not earn interest. That one is not allowed by our law. If it is 150,000, it is 150,000. That is what we will reunite with.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so once you give the money to its rightful owner, how much do they pay you? What's the percentage that they pay you?
Okay, for us, you know, this is a government service. It is free. We don't charge anything.
Okay.
If we got, for example, 100,000 from a certain bank, we will give you the 100,000 in that. We don't deduct any processing fee or any kind of fee. Because this is a government institution which is trying to reunite funds of which were remitted to us by institutions. So we don't charge anything.
Okay.
There's no charge for any money we reunite.
Okay, so can you just go step by step and tell us how do we actually start claim? How do we start the claim until we finish the process? If you could just explain that to us.
Okay, thank you, Monica, for that question. The first thing is to identify if you have any monies with the authority. And for somebody who is far outside Kenya, or even within, they can visit our website. For example, Monica, you find that your shares or dividends are with KCB.
Right.
The second stage is to visit that institution. And you will be given what we call a holder's letter. Holder's letter, it indicates that that institution, that bank or listed company, it remitted that 100,000 or 20,000 to the authority. So what we require people to have, one can do either an online claim, or they can do a physical claim whereby they present the paperwork. So once you have the holder's letter, you visit the authority or our website with that holder's letter. For every claim, there are forms to fill. We also need your bank requirements, such that after we process those documents, we are able to remit those funds to your account. For deceased person, we also require the letters of administration, so that we visit the specific court which issued that letter, and we are able to verify if it is original. Then for appointment of an agent, in Kenya, it is issued by Ministry of Lands, what we call the power of attorney. We are able to visit the Ministry of Lands and also verify if that agent was appointed in the proper way. Then from there, we are able to remit your funds. It's very simple. You are just you provide that holder's letter, you fill those 2 or 3 forms which are on our website. Then from there, you are able to present. We do our checking, background check, and we remit your monies to your account. We don't do checks. We just wire the money to your account.
Okay.
Within 60 days.
Okay, so for the people that are in diaspora, do they have to be available to come and sign it, even though they have identified an agent? Do they have to be available, or can they just work through email? How does that work? They
can work through email. They can work through email and appoint an agent. They don't have to be there physically. What we do, once we verify that the agent who has been appointed by the owner of these funds has been legally appointed, then we have no problem. They don't have to be there physically.
Okay, all right. So go ahead, finish your sentence. I think I'm going to read you a question here that I got from someone,
What I will say is to the diaspora is that we have a lot of soccer. We have reunited like around 400 million. And you can imagine a figure of about 49 billion, and we have reunited like 400 million. That is way below even 1%. So one thing I'll say is that we are holding these funds and we need people to come on board. And that is the reason why the authority was created. It was created to reunify these funds with the owners. So people should come on board, either claim online or appoint agents and claim their funds. Because that is our key mandate, is reunification, not bringing these funds together. And the reunification levels are very, very low. And we are trying our best to do awareness through social media, through radios, and through TVs, so that at least these figures, we can be able to move these figures down. Because Kenyans are suffering, and we are sitting on these billions. Actually, we are not happy, and if people can come on board and claim these monies, then the better for us, because that's why we are creating. Thank you.
Okay, so my question to you is, I'm Monicah Kariuki. When I type Monicah Kariuki online, there are so many Monicah Kariuki, because Kariuki is such a common Kikuyu name, right? So how are you going to differentiate between me? If it was my bank account, how are you going to differentiate between me and the other Monicah Kariuki?
Thank you. Thank you. Good question, Monicah Kariuki. I understand that has been also a challenge at our authority, but one thing we have done, that is why I said we need what we call the holder's letter. once you visit that or you conduct that institution, I'll give you an example, either Standard Chartered Bank or Absa Bank.
Do it while
they
he's talking.
will be able to tell you you are the Monicah Kariuki or you are not the Monicah Kariuki. So that is one check at our level. The second check is that we are connected to what I would call the IPRS. This is the institution which issues IDs.
Turn it off. Okay. Sorry, my cameraman just messed up with my camera. Okay, I think I'm back. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. So once money has been, or all these funds have been placed in your care or has been transferred to you, how long do you guys keep it, and how long does the claimant have to come and claim it?
Thank you, Monica. Good question. The way our law has been set up, all this money is perpetuity. So there are no limitations or timelines for how long we can stay with the funds. However, in the other regimes, you'll find that maybe after 7 or 10 years, the money reverts back and it becomes a property of the state. In the Kenyan scenario, it is a bit different. Because even if you come after 20 years, you'll still find your funds intact as they were remitted by that institution or that bank. So yes, it is in perpetuity. There is no time when you'll come and find that your money has been transferred or utilized by the government. That one is not there. Yes, Mom.
Okay, so I kind of want to read something that someone said, and I'm not going to read all of it, but this is from your website, okay? Because we want to legitimize, you know, what you're saying. So someone said on your website, I gave up due to frustration by the concerned manager. I had gone to claim mine personally. Maybe I was convinced that was a designed method of creating jobs for government functional friends and their relatives untimely. I got advised elsewhere reliably. Anyway, there's someone that is talking about frustration trying to claim these funds. Do you guys even go back to your website to see frustration of people? Because again, I was talking about Kenyan bureaucracy. It's always so difficult to get what you're looking for, and it always involves money before you can even look for the money that you're looking for. Sometimes people are looking for this money because they don't even have money, and so it makes it so difficult for people like that to even claim what they need. Like for example, you're talking about administration letter. You know, you talked about anyway, you have to go through a lawyer, and stuff like that. So all those processes, they require money. So for somebody that doesn't even have money to start with, they're just going to give up even before they get started. But do you guys look at the frustration of these people?
We do, and what we have established is that some of those people, you find that they have not submitted all the documents. Maybe they have held issues with the courts, and they are not able to get to agree on who is the administrator of the estate, and then they start complaining. There is a person who is manning that website, and even we call these people and try to ask them what is happening. And I can say we are trying and we are doing our best. On the flip side, our procedure, yes, is a bit long, but you see, we are dealing with money, and our checks must be above board, because this is people's money, and we have to protect it.
Right.
It is better we take time to pay Monicah Kariuki, other than pay somebody after 3 days and we pay the wrong Monicah Kariuki. So it's a matter of a balance. We are trying our best to protect the fund by ensuring that we have kind of a lengthy procedure, at least to get it right. On the other side also, we are trying to reunite the same to take the shortest possible. And that's why I said a period of 60 days. Those are the number of days we have been allowed by the law. But yes, the procedure is a bit long, just to make sure that we get it right.
Okay.
And so far it is, I told you, it's now 5th year, and we can account for every coin.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So I see someone here says that the system is just so corrupt. These people want handouts. That's why you have so many runarounds.
Wow.
You know, I mean, as much as your organization is trying to do the right thing, which I respect that, okay? But the thing is, a lot of Kenyans have already been through corrupt, organizations, even parastatals. I mean, like, even private companies, they all require you to give money before they can do something for you. Even when it's a civil servant, you're just going to get what is rightfully yours. You still are required to give money before you can get what is yours, and so I think you guys have an uphill battle, to convince Kenyans that there is money here and you can come and get it for free. You understand what I'm saying?
I hear you. And that is why I say that. That's why we are going the IT way. We are trying to discourage people from coming to our offices and do their application of these claims online. That's how we are doing it, and we are trying to build our IT system so that at least people lodge their claims online.
Okay,
yes.
So go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
So we are doing our best in trying to at least to ensure that we get it right, and also we reunite these funds with the rightful owners.
Okay.
And those complaints, what I can say is that there's no official complaint which has been either reported with even the institutions we have around, that is the EACC, among other institutions. We have not received an official complaint.
Okay.
Either internally or externally of any extortions around. That one we have not received.
Most likely it's because bosses are usually not available. That's the Kenyan way. But forget that. Forget that. But here's the deal. People in diaspora, there are so many people in diaspora that don't even have IDs. I got my ID last year. Is it last year or 2 years ago is when I got my ID, because the ID I got when I came to the US, it's no longer valid. By now, IDs in Kenya have already been changed. So I got my ID 2 years ago. My passport was already expired. It was not even valid in Kenya because I'm a US citizen. So if I needed to claim, before I got my ID, before I even renewed my passport, or even if I can't come to Kenya, somebody that can't even come to Kenya because maybe they don't even have makaratasi, so that person cannot be able to claim them?
Thank you. Monicah. We only use, there are two ways of identifying yourself, and those ones have been, they have been identified by our law. That is one, you can either use an ID or you use a passport. In the absence of those two, I think we may not help much, because that's the way we can identify.
So if I have my passport and I don't have my ID, I'm good to go?
No, I'm saying you can either identify yourself as per our systems, either by use of an ID or by use of a passport.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So if I have my passport but don't have my ID, am I okay?
You are okay. Yes, with the passport you are good to go.
Okay. So can you tell us where we get KRA number? Do you know? Because I see that as part of your the qualifications or what you need.
Yes, that's true, but that is one of the requirements we have kind of waived, because before we were using it for identification purposes. And for example, like you, Monica, when you are in the US, we may not request for that PIN number. So for now, it's not a key requirement, but we were using before, but we tried to waive that. We are using other ways of trying to identify people who are claiming their funds.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to see if there's any questions, and I don't see that people are asking me any questions. Let me just see before I can let you go. Do you have anything else to add? I think I've asked you everything from also too from your website and things like that. So I think we have covered everything. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yes. Just clarity on our law. We only cover financial assets, not anything to do with property, land. For now, our law it only covers the financial related kind of assets.
Not property.
For the people who are out of the country, and that one from the data which we are analyzing, it's a lot which is sitting at the authority. Would request them either to get in touch with their authority or to get in touch with their relatives so that they may claim these funds, because these funds, they belong to them. These funds, they do not belong to the authority, neither do they belong to the government. These are people's money. Number three is that just give assurance that this fund is well protected. And as I said, we can account for everything from 2014, from the day we started our operations to date. And it is well ring-fenced. And so far, so good. But let people come on board and claim this money so that at least it can be plowed back to the economy. Thank you, Monica.
So what happens when the holder has no owner?
Yes. Thank you. Good question. That is something we have encountered, whereby we find institutions, they have funds, but due to change of systems, they have lost the names. So what we have advised them is they forward those monies to the authority, number one. Number two, we are doing a lot of audits because one, we also send auditors to those institutions to check if that is the correct position. Maybe they have the data somewhere, so it's something we have been following, but we advise those institutions to remit the money to the authority. But the other thing you would appreciate is that even if that money is brought to us and there are no owners, we put this money in the T-bills. That is, it's kind of we are plowing this money back to the economy, which reduces our borrowing. So in a way, even if that money is sitting with us, it is still benefiting the Kenyans as a whole. Thank you.
Okay, so I see someone here has told me, can you just mention the website? Caro, she says, Miss Monica, can you please post the website link on your page? Yes, Caro, I will post the website page on your ring or on this video as well. But can you just mention the website so everybody knows where to go? And also too, it's possible to go to your website, just type in your name and see what you have available, correct?
Yes, Monica, thank you. First of all, the website is www.ufaa.go.ke. Number two, once you type in your name, you will only be able to see the institution which remitted the funds, but you will not be able to see the amounts because we have to protect you.
Absolutely.
We don't have to play what is owned by. Yes, that's what we don't do. We only give, for example, Monica Kariuki, ABSA, just that. It's now for you to follow with ABSA Bank and know what is sitting there. You get that letter and then we process your claim.
I see. Okay. All right. Is it possible then for people that know or have, relatives that departed, is it possible to type in their names and see if there is any funds available and then they can go through starting a claim that way?
Yes, because they can type in their name, that relative who passed on, and check if they have unclaimed that. However, if the relative passed on some time back, remember they can't claim. It's only the administrator of the estate who can claim those unclaimed assets. But yes, the name, the way it is sitting on our database, it is the name of that relative who passed on. However, the person who has the right to claim those funds is the administrator of the estate.
And going back, you said that the administrator of the estate can be appointed by court.
Exactly. legally in Kenya, those administrators are appointed by the court.
Okay, yeah, so again, for those of you that are watching and listening on the radio, if somebody died, they didn't have a will, which it's most of the cases, the family can just go to court and figure out let the court figure out who the administrator is going to be, and then they can claim.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. Okay. So I have a question from Mary Wawero, and she says, why should we provide mom's death certificate na tuko na death certificate ya bro? So I think what Mary is trying to say here is that she's claiming, Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, because she says, why should we provide mom's death certificate na tuko na death certificate ya bro? So I think she's trying to claim something from her brother that already passed away. But they are also asking for death certificates for her mother who also passed away. Do you know?
What we asked for, maybe that brother was the administrator of the estate.
Okay.
Maybe that would be the case.
Okay. Mary, I may need you to clarify your question so that Gideon can understand what you are asking. I'm not sure if you're asking that you're trying to claim something that your brother left or something that your mom left and that your brother may have been the administrator, correct? That could be, right?
Maybe that could be the position, but I'm saying maybe if the brother was the administrator of the estate, that is why we may require that death certificate. But it needs to be a bit clear so that I may get it.
Okay, so if she had me, then she will clarify. That. So anyway, I don't see any other questions either. So if you could just something that my brother left. Yeah, so she's trying to claim something that her brother left. This is for her brother, but they are asking for her mother's birth certificate. Her mother is, so are they trying to establish that she is the only relative left to claim? Is that what they're trying to establish then?
Exactly, that is the position.
Okay.
That is because in our KYC, we do a lot of checks. So it's good they provide that. And also visit the authority or call the authority if they require some clarification on that. Okay.
All right. So, Mary, I think you had that. I think they're just trying to establish because your brother has to have an administrator, which she would be the administrator because she's the only close relative left. So she would be the administrator, but either way, she still has to establish that her mother is no longer there, correct?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, Mary, I think your question has been answered. So if you can just give, if there's phone numbers that people can call so that people can be able to reach you or reach anybody in your organization, that'd be great.
Exactly. I can give we have an info account, that is info at ufaa.go.ke.
Okay.
And then the phone numbers I will be able to share with you shortly.
Okay.
So that you can share with everyone, and even the photo and everything else I will be able to share our contacts shortly with you.
Okay, no problem. So if you can give me that information, I'll put it on, and then everybody can follow up from there. So I think we covered everything, don't you?
Yes, we have. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to appreciate you so much for having time and for giving us all that information. Honestly, there are so many Kenyans out there that don't know that these services exist, that don't even know that they can actually go back and claim what has been left or what is rightfully theirs. So I thank you so much for having time with us. Again, for those of you that are watching on Facebook and those of you that are listening on radio, this is Monica Kariuki, and today we were talking to Mr. Gideon Nzioki. If you have any funds out there, go and claim it because it is yours. Until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you, Monica.
All right.
All right.